So, Mr. Kwabena Yeboah, our father, brother, and leader, will welcome all of you. Shall we welcome Mr. President Kwabena Yeboah?
The president of the Ghana Football Association, my own brother, Zakero Keku, fellow swaggers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my joy and enthusiasm this morning is effervescent, and for good reason. I'm sure that months ago, when news broke that the Ghana Football Association and the SWAG were going to collaborate for capacity building, I think there was all manner of mischaracterization, all manner of false information, that it was an attempt to either gag SWAG or to disable us and make us docile and timid. But I was just wondering if you have journalists like Said Wadamu in the system, if you have the likes of Mickey Charles, and knowing how vibrant the media is at the moment, I was just wondering how anybody could gag the media. Nothing could be further from the truth. I think if there is any effort in the history, Ghana's history, which truly understands the media, it must be the Kurt Okreku-led Ghana Football Association. And the reason is not far-fetched. It is because the president, Kurt Okreku, is a member of SWAG, a sports journalist. You have the general secretary of the FA, Prosper Singado, also a member of SWAG. These are the two most powerful personalities in Ghana football. You are the likes of Henry Asantichum, a member of SWAG, Matilda at the FA, a member of SWAG. So they truly understand the needs of sports journalism in this country. And there's a reason when FIFA decided to set aside money, COVID money, for the development and to cushion the effect of the COVID pandemic, they decided it wise to set aside some money for this capacity building. So nothing could be further from the truth. And again, it fits into the vision of SWAG. For those of you who remember very vividly when I took over as SWAG president a few years ago, I did make a point that our administration should not be defined by the ritualistic end-of-year award ceremony. Of course, it is so important for distinguished sportsmen and women to be honored, and we would continue to do that. This is something we have inherited from our forebears, and we'll continue to do that. But beyond that, I've made the point that it's important to build the capacity of sports journalists. And for that reason, over the period, we've had personalities like the revered sports journalist Kweku Sechado come take us through the ethics of the profession. We've had personalities from the appeals court come and educate us. We've had personalities from the FA department take us through certain protocols. And we are currently in collaboration with Betway, for instance. We've been to the regions, we've been to Koforidua, we've been to Takrady, to continue to build the capacity of journalists. So this fits into that vision. So we have to take this very, very seriously and understand the inner workings of the Ghana Football Association. A number of times, we write things and probably misrepresent things to the general public, not because we want to be mischievous, but simply because we do not understand the inner workings of the Ghana Football Association. And sometimes also when the adrenaline is boiling so much, when there is so much enthusiasm, sometimes we can get overboard. And I've been guilty before. I remember very well in 1994 when we returned from Tunisia during the Cup of Nations, because I really didn't understand the workings of the FA, I mounted a crusade to get rid of Nana Butler. And up to today, I truly regret it. Probably if I was sufficiently educated about the workings of the FA at the time, I wouldn't have embarked on that journey. So it's in our interest to understand the workings of the FA, and this is a very wonderful opportunity for us. And let me also say that collaborating with the FA may not necessarily be a novelty, because the Sports Writers Association of Ghana is not in existence to continually confront the Ghana Football Association on every single issue. We are to complement each other and offer criticism when we have to and offer praise when we have to. So I do remember that in years past, for instance, a slot was reserved on the FA for journalists. And it's a reason former president, for instance, Ohinba Charles, served on the Ghana Football Association. I remember very well he was on the team that went to Tunisia for the Cup of Nations in 1994. It was the same spirit that ensured that Joe Agri, for instance, also served on the Ghana Football Association. And I remember Francis as well in 95, when we were going to Ecuador, was also on the team. That was the opportunity I was offered to be on the tour with the Starlets when Ghana conquered the world in 1995. So, Mr. President, this is a very fine opportunity for me to make a humble appeal that just as your predecessors reserved a slot, one slot for sports journalists on every single trip, I pray that your office revisits that arrangement, that for every trip of the national teams, at least one slot is reserved for sports journalists. Once we get that close, those of you who are clapping, you are the ones who want to travel. I can see that. No more Kululu. So I'm hoping that we would actualize this and ensure that we get closer and closer to appreciate how you work. So let us take this very, very seriously. And this meeting, hopefully, should be the first of many to come. We do know that this is for the southern sector. And I think in a week's time or so, we'll go to the north to have the arrangement there. But beyond that, hopefully, my prayer is that we'll have more of such interactions so we can understand the FA better and they can also understand the media better. So take this seriously. Enjoy the time. Thank you very much. God bless everybody.